Chapter 261. Olivia had also thought about talking to Ryan these days. She could continue the investigation through his case. But she feared that it might alert the mastermind, so she never took action. She didn't expect Ryan to reach out to her first. Olivia pressed the button to answer the call. "Hello, Ryan. Miss Fordham, where are you right now? You asked me to investigate Jody, remember? I found something." Ryan's voice sounded anxious, and there was no trace of him faking it. Olivia probed, "What is it?" "Jody's phone, but it's already broken. I remember you being interested, so I'm calling to ask if you want it. I heard that her original home has been rented to someone else. Her body was found in the ocean. Where did the phone come from? If it's already broken, how can you be sure that it's Jody's?" Olivia was smart, and she soon found the key point. Ryan thought that she would latch onto the clue without hesitation. He didn't expect her to figure out the flaw so soon. While Ryan was stunned, Olivia spoke up. "Ryan, I don't know what your goal is, but my dad funded your studies. You wouldn't be where you are today without him. I don't ask you to repay his kindness, but can you not bite the hand that fed you?" Tisk. Ryan clicked his tongue. "As expected, you've already caught on." Olivia remembered what Jack said to her. He told her not to do anything reckless and to wait for his return. Today was Ethan's engagement ceremony. What was the mastermind trying to do by baiting her at that moment? "Ryan, I don't know who you work for, but you should listen to your conscience. If you're doing this for money, I can pay you double if you work with me. I can offer you more double if you want." Ryan replied, "All right then. Come to Silent Coffee. We'll talk. I'm busy today, so I'm afraid I can't go. If you truly have a clue, let's meet another time. For the reward, you can ask for as much money as you want." "Looks like you're not coming, then. I'm sorry. Then there's nothing to discuss. Miss Fordham, you won't be able to escape." Olivia was about to say something when the call ended. She closed her eyes. By the looks of it, she couldn't keep things under wraps anymore. The mastermind was trying to challenge her head-on. They had stopped playing nice today. Olivia was exasperated. Why today, of all days? She thought. She had a feeling that something big was about to happen. She had already left Ethan alone and distanced herself as much as possible. That person should have given up by now, but they didn't. Fortunately, before Jack left, she had arranged for someone to protect Jeff. Their salary was a bit high, but at least Jeff was safe. While it was true that Jeff would be safe, Olivia was in danger. Olivia didn't take the bait from Ryan, so there must be another bait waiting for her. But she had to have surgery today. What do I do? Olivia wondered. She stared at the door, feeling like everything beyond the door was dangerous. Before she realized it, her palms were sweating. Taking out her phone, she subconsciously wanted to talk to someone. She didn't even realize that the first person she tried to call was Ethan. It was a terrible move. She hastily tried to end the call. Just a second before she pressed the button, his clear voice rang out from the other end of the line. Ethan had picked up right away. "Hello." His low voice reached Olivia's ears. Olivia was stunned. She never thought that he would answer her call right away, not on this day. After a long period of silence, Ethan said in annoyance, "Say something." Olivia thought, "Say something? What should I say? Do I ask for some of his men to protect me?" She had said to him just a few days ago that they shouldn't talk to each other anymore. If she spoke to him on the day of his engagement ceremony, he would think that she was looking for attention. Olivia quickly came to her senses and said, "Happy engagement." Chapter 262. They weren't talking in person. But Olivia felt like the atmosphere between them was extremely awkward. Ethan's voice was filled with dissatisfaction. "Is that all you wanted to say?" She had already spoken, so it was too late to take back her words. Calming herself, Olivia said, "Yes. We're not strangers, after all. I feel like I should congratulate you on a day like this." Ethan gritted his teeth. "Thanks." With that, he hung up. Listening to the beeps coming from her phone, Olivia sighed helplessly. He was the one who was getting engaged, but he behaved as if she was forcing him to be engaged. He sounded so reluctant. She wouldn't tell Ethan about this, or it would ruin his engagement ceremony. Not just Marina, but even Chloe would annoy her to no end. Just then, Colin happened to call her. Olivia felt like she had seen the light. Colin. Good morning, Olivia. Can you come over and pick me up? Olivia carefully asked for help. Of course. I'm already on my way. I'll be at the entrance of your residential area in a minute. I'll be right there. Checking the surveillance camera, Olivia made sure that there was no danger outside. Then, she grabbed her stuff and dashed out, getting into the elevator right away. There were usually people getting in and out of the elevator. It only took a few minutes, so the mastermind wouldn't be that bold. Watching the number on the elevator decrease, Olivia grew even uneasier. 8, 7, 6. Olivia gripped her phone tightly. Colin sent her a message, telling her that he was already at the entrance. He even sent her an emoji. Then, he told her to take her time gathering her things, as it was still early. The cute emoji on the screen made Olivia relax a little. A faint smile appeared on her lips. When she looked up, she realized that the elevator didn't stop on the first floor. But she knew that she had already pressed the button for the first floor. Yet the elevator was still descending. An uneasy feeling invaded her heart. Did someone do something to the elevator? She thought. She sent Colin a voice message right away. Colin, I'm in the elevator. Something went wrong with it. I think someone messed with it. She had just finished speaking when the elevator doors opened. When Olivia saw the person standing at the door, her expression shifted. She tried to close the doors in a frenzy. Colin listened to the voice message from Olivia. In the closed space, the woman's voice was trembling. She was in extreme fear. Turning off the engine, he got out of the car. Another voice message was sent to his phone. It was a man's voice. Miss Fordham, I told you that you won't be able to escape. Right after that, Colin heard Olivia's cries for help. Help, call the police. When Colin dialed Olivia's number, the call didn't go through. Olivia. When Colin arrived at the scene, the elevator was empty. There was no one around. Crouching down, he found shattered pieces of a phone. He could see that the tempered glass on Olivia's phone was broken. Olivia was already taken away from the basement parking lot. Damn it. After hanging up on Olivia, Ethan angrily tossed his phone to the side. She's getting better at provoking me, he thought. Mr. Miller, it's time. The helicopter is on standby. We're going to the island soon, Brent urged. Looking at the azure sky, Ethan took a deep breath. Brent didn't know what he was thinking about. Only Ethan knew that the uneasiness had been gnawing at him for days. When he woke up this morning, it grew even stronger. He kept feeling like something was about to happen. But he had just heard Olivia's voice over the phone, and she sounded fine. What's the worst that can happen? He thought. Let's go. He boarded the helicopter. Chapter 263. Olivia woke up, regaining consciousness. She had a splitting headache. In the elevator, someone had covered her nose and mouth with a drugged handkerchief. The effects of the drug still lingered. Olivia felt weak and sore all over her body. Her eyes were covered with a thick piece of black cloth. She couldn't see any light at all. Her wrists and ankles were tightly bound as well. Tied up firmly, she couldn't move. She was trapped in a narrow space, and she could smell something rotting. She tried to feel around. She soon realized that she was squeezed tightly, and there wasn't much space for her to move around. Soon, she figured out where she was. She was in the trunk of a car. For some reason, she suddenly thought about how Jody died. Jody was strangled to death before getting tossed into the ocean. She was only discovered when her body was distorted from all the swelling. Is it my turn now? Olivia wondered. She must have provoked the mastermind by working at Miller Group. They wanted to end this game prematurely, so they decided to attack her on the day of Ethan's engagement ceremony. But she didn't want to die yet. Olivia sensed that there was danger before she left. So, she hid a pocket knife under her clothes. Fortunately, her body was quite flexible. Olivia bent her body into a semicircle. Then, she felt the inside of her coat with her finger. She had been trapped in a closed space for a long time. So, Her body was drenched in sweat. The car was going at a steady pace without stopping, so they must be on the expressway right now. This meant that they wouldn't be reaching their destination so soon. She still had time. Enduring the pain, she patiently rubbed at her coat with all her might. All her strength was focused on her fingertips. When she touched the surface of the pocket knife, her heart skipped a beat. "Found it," she exclaimed in her mind. She slowly moved the knife out. Then, she sawed it lightly against the rope. Olivia didn't dare to make it too obvious. In the direction of her wrists, she sliced through 2/3 of each length of rope. On the surface, she looked like she was still tightly bound. But if she used enough strength to struggle, she could completely break free. After dealing with the ropes, she twisted her body so that it looked like a shrimp was being pulled backward. Every time she sawed the ropes, she had to use up all her strength. Her vision was dark, and oxygen was running low. Her head was spinning. Still, Olivia managed to perk up. She refused to waste even a second. Based on what she knew of the mastermind, they paid attention to detail, and they hid their traces very well. They were also quite cruel. For example, there was that one time she went to the mental hospital. She received news of Belle's death right after that. Belle's body was in such a horrible state that Olivia still couldn't forget about it. So, that person would never give Ethan a chance to save Olivia. Olivia feared that when Ethan noticed something, she would already be dead. Her gaze was stern. She couldn't die. She couldn't let those people go unpunished. Because of the excessive tugging, the joints in her body kept popping. Enduring the pain, Olivia continued her work. It was a pitch-black environment, so she was her only rescue. After driving along for a while, the car finally stopped. Olivia had hidden the blade early on. She had a feeling that she could finally meet that person. No matter how outstanding they were, they would appear right before their enemy died. They would gloat about their victory in their enemy's face. Someone opened the trunk. A cold wind rushed in, bringing the unique scent of the sea with it. They were by the sea. As expected, the mastermind wanted Olivia to die the way Jody did. Chapter 264. The cold air dispersed the moldy smell in the trunk. Olivia felt her mind getting a little clearer. She shouted anxiously on purpose, "Who are you? Let me go." It was true that she was anxious, but she convinced herself to stay calm. Only by staying calm could she spot an opening. Ryan's familiar voice sounded. "Miss Fordham, you've always wanted to know how Jody died, right? Why don't I tell you myself?" Olivia felt another piece of rope hanging around her neck. Ryan's voice was no longer the gentlemanly voice he had when they first met. Instead, it sounded like a venomous snake hissing in her ear. "She died from getting strangled, just like this. By the way, the expression on her face was just like yours before she died." She kept struggling with her limbs. She wanted to call for help with all her might, but she couldn't even form a complete sentence. She could only look at me in fear and despair. Then, she slowly lost her breath. In the darkness, Olivia's senses were sharpened. Ryan's voice allowed her imagination to run wild. She felt like she could sense the despair Jody felt before she died. She could also feel the helplessness as Jody's life slowly ebbed away. "My dad wasn't the person who killed Jody. Everything she did had been right all along. Jeff was a good man, so he couldn't have done such horrible things. The child in her tummy did belong to your father. You beasts. What have the Fordhams ever done to you? You didn't even show mercy to a pregnant woman." Olivia's tears fell uncontrollably. If that child hadn't died, would she have a younger sibling? In all the years Chloe was gone, Olivia hoped that Jeff would find another woman he loved. He did nothing wrong, Olivia thought. She said, "Jody is Ethan's biological sister. If he knew the truth, he wouldn't let you off the hook." "Ha," Ryan sneered in disdain. "If he knew the truth, you wouldn't be here in the first place." Olivia fell silent. Leia was like an untouchable wound on Ethan's heart. He was already upset whenever Olivia mentioned Leia to him. So, it was even less likely that he would reinvestigate the matter. Every time Leia was mentioned, the wound in Ethan's heart would be reopened. If the incident had to be reinvestigated, it would be like rubbing salt in his wound. Why would you do this?" Olivia lowered her head in defeat. You only have yourself to blame. Olivia thought, me? What did I do? Your existence is your biggest mistake. Ryan picked her up. Putting her on his shoulder like a sack, he walked away. Olivia had been feeling sick after getting locked up for so long. When he carried her like that, her dizziness only worsened. Her stomach was churning. The sound of the sea breeze gradually turned soft. They must be indoors now. It felt like a spacious room as well, for she could hear Ryan's voice clearly. Her body was tossed to the ground. Olivia felt that she had hit something and that something moved. She realized that she was at the feet of a person. Is this person the mastermind? She wondered. At that thought, all the blood in Olivia's body seemed to have rushed to her head. Her body trembled uncontrollably. Various complex emotions surged in her heart. Olivia said in hatred, "Are you the one pulling the strings behind the scenes? You caused the Fordhams to go bankrupt, and now my dad is dying in the hospital because of you." She sensed someone crouching down. Then, a hand lifted her chin. A genderless voice rang out. "It's me." Chapter 265. The person's voice was deliberately disguised so that it couldn't be distinguished. But when the person tilted Olivia's chin with their fingers, Olivia caught a faint scent of herbs. Olivia had only studied modern medicine, so she had little knowledge of herbal medicine. She wasn't able to tell what kind of herbs she was smelling or even if it was a mixture of several herbs. "Do you plan to kill me?" Olivia asked directly. "Your life is not in my hands." Olivia frowned, confused. She didn't understand what other motive the person would have for bringing her to a place like this. "What do you mean?" Olivia felt more uneasy after she learned that she wouldn't be killed. If they were keeping her alive, it would surely have something to do with Ethan. "I'm already divorced from him. I have nothing now. What else do you want from me?" The person's fingers tightened around Olivia's chin. Olivia winced in pain, but she didn't make a sound. "You're a smart woman. I can see why he likes you so much." The person saw through Olivia's intent to get more information out of her. She didn't bring up a single word about her plans for Ethan. Olivia saw that the person didn't take the bait. "With the way things are now, I know I won't be able to leave here alive. If my guess is correct, this must be an abandoned house near the ocean. Ethan won't be able to come here in time to save me." "That's right. I have one request before I die. Can you show me your face? I want to see the face of the person that brought my family to ruins." The fingers on Olivia's chin tightened once more. "You have no right to request anything from me." The person did not let up and added, "I told you, you might not be the one to die today." Olivia wanted to say something more, but she heard the sound of a phone vibrating. The person picked up the phone and said with a laid-back tone, "I'm just playing around. Are you mad that I hurt her?" The room was quiet. Olivia thought she heard the voice of a man coming from the other end of the phone. Before she could listen closely, the person let go of her chin. The person walked away to continue their conversation on the phone. Olivia could hear the nonchalance in that person's tone. It was as if Olivia's life had no value to them. Olivia tried to calm herself. She was blindfolded, so she couldn't inspect her surroundings. She didn't dare to break through the ropes around her hands. She held onto the penknife in her palm tightly. Even if she didn't walk out of here today, she was determined to go down with that person. This was the best chance she had for revenge. It would be hard for her to find the person again on her own. Olivia would also like to see what tricks the person had hidden up their sleeve. She kept telling herself she couldn't be rash. But she couldn't control the massive throbbing pain in her stomach. She curled up in a ball due to the pain. Her body was covered in sweat. It was just one thing after another for her. She bit her lip as she tried to wrestle with the pain. Suddenly, she felt something cool on her lips. It seemed to be a cup. Olivia didn't dare to drink from it. A cold voice said, "You're already here anyway. Why would we drug you?" "Dr. Galloway." Dr. Galloway didn't deny it. She said, "Drink it, now." Olivia quickly took 2 sips. It was warm chamomile tea. "Dr. Galloway, did you kill Belle?" Olivia took the chance to ask her a question. "Stop talking." Dr. Galloway didn't answer. "Dr. Galloway, I went to see Belle's body. She died a horrible death." Do you have a grudge against her? Did she really have to die like that? That's a life you took. Won't it keep you up at night? Chapter 266. Olivia's words seemed to have angered Dr. Galloway. Her emotions changed drastically. Why would it keep me up at night? I have nothing to be afraid of. She was a lunatic anyway. She would have died a few years ago if not for my care. I only sent her off. Her life was a living hell when she was there. So, you're the one who pushed her off the building. So, what if I was? It's all your fault. She could have lived if you hadn't gone to the psychiatric hospital. It's your fault for meddling in our business. Olivia suddenly thought that Dr. Galloway should be the one under psychiatric care. Her mental state was clearly problematic. She wondered what had happened between Dr. Galloway and Belle. Why would she have such a huge reaction when Belle was mentioned? What about Belle's baby? Do you know where the child is now? What baby? I don't know anything about that. I had someone examine her body. She had stretch marks on her body. There were also signs of her having given birth in the uterus. Dr. Galloway shrieked at Olivia, "Does it matter if she had a baby or not?" Belle. Olivia was about to ask her more questions about Belle when Ryan ran in and wrapped his arms around Dr. Galloway. "Calm down, Jennifer. It's all in the past now. There's no need to talk to her about that." Olivia wondered why Ryan had to say that. Did Belle's death take a toll on Dr. Galloway? Why would that be the case? She was the one who wanted Belle dead. Why would she go into a frenzy at the mention of Belle's death? Ryan took her away, and everything fell quiet once more. Nothing made a sound in the huge room. It was so quiet that Olivia could hear the beating of her own heart. She could also make out the sound of some mice scurrying around. She used to be afraid of mice. But she was dying soon, so she had no more energy to care about rodents. It was as if the mice sensed that she was still alive. They only sniffed around her body but never dared to come closer. Olivia's face was pressed against the uneven floor. It wasn't wood or floor tiles. It felt like it was the floor of an unfinished house. She could also smell some chemicals in the air. Olivia put the information she had together. It was an abandoned factory, and she was at the seaside. She guessed that she was probably at Eastside Harbor. This used to be a very prosperous area. The cargo transportation business thrived here due to the harbor. Many large chemical plants were constructed here as well. However, due to government planning and the southward shift of economic focus, along with the pollution caused by the chemical plants, many companies relocated. As a result, this area gradually became a wasteland. No one would know even if someone died here and their corpse was rotting. Olivia subtly pulled on her sleeve to hide the phone watch that Chloe gifted her. It was her only chance to call for help. She had to make it count. Meanwhile, Ethan was on a helicopter that was flying away from the urban area. He felt like something was weighing down on his chest. It only grew heavier as time went on. He felt lost and uneasy. It was like there was a voice in his mind screaming for him to go back. He looked at his phone and tapped on Olivia's picture on WhatsApp. She had blocked him a long time ago. Their conversation stopped at the missed video calls 6 months ago. He scrolled up to look at the messages. Most of them were from Olivia. He would only reply occasionally between dozens of messages. He could feel the indifference he had for her through the texts on his phone. He didn't know why, but he had taken everything for granted in the past. And now, all he felt was guilt. Olivia used to be the love of his life. He swore to love her forever. In the end, he was the one who hurt her most. The helicopter was approaching an island. It was planted full of cherry blossoms. A sight to behold. It was also the cherry blossom season when the flowers were in full bloom. Every single flower was showing off its beauty. Ethan could only sigh even when faced with such a beautiful sight. The cherry blossoms were meant to be a gift for Olivia, but it was just not meant to be. The helicopter slowly descended. A huge group of guests and media personnel were already gathered on the island. Marina wanted to declare her victory to the public, so she invited a lot of reporters and influencers to witness the happiest moment of her life. The influencers were all over the place. They were live streaming and interacting with their viewers. Every one of them had a lot of traffic on their live streams. Ethan looked everywhere but didn't see Marina. He said in an annoyed tone, "Where's Marina?" Chapter 267. The Carltons were already on the scene. Chloe stood out the most. She wore a cocktail dress paired with a shawl, looking elegant and dignified. She held onto Chris' arm and had a bright smile on her face. It was as if her biological daughter was the one getting engaged. Ethan felt uncomfortable when he looked at her smile. Brent quickly replied to Ethan's question, "Mr. and Mrs. Carlton came ahead of time. They're here to mingle with the guests. Something went wrong with Miss Carlton's dress, so the people worked overtime last night to get it fixed. Miss Carlton went to get her makeup done and tried the dress on early this morning. She should be here soon." Ethan knew Marina well. It was the engagement party that she had wanted so badly. She wouldn't be late if she could help it. She would want to come as soon as possible and show off. But it was getting late and she still hadn't arrived. Ethan found that to be weird. All the equipment on site had been checked several times. Everything was set. Everyone was waiting for Marina to arrive so that the engagement ceremony could begin. The scent of fresh flowers was in the air. Guests in all sorts of formal attire were everywhere. Some of them were talking, others were taking pictures. There were also children happily running around under the cherry blossom trees. Overall, it was a very harmonious scene. Connor was being carried in Mina's arms. He looked curiously at the cherry blossom petals overhead. Petals were slowly falling even when there wasn't any wind. Connor wanted to grab some petals, but a petal fell on his nose just as he raised his head. He stopped moving immediately. He didn't want the petal to fall off. It was a very adorable moment. Chloe looked around and didn't see Marina anywhere. She tugged at Chris' arm, saying worriedly, "Why isn't Marina here yet? Could something has happened to her? She loves dolling herself up. She even had her dress returned and worked on for some minor issues. She's probably throwing a fit about the dress right now," Chris said sheepishly. "This won't do. The ceremony is about to begin. She can't afford to make a blunder now. I'll call her and ask her to hurry up." Chloe was about to walk away when Chris grabbed her hand. "Don't overexert yourself. You were just discharged from the hospital a few days ago. You've also been working yourself to the bone for this ceremony. I know Marina has always held a grudge against you." Chloe smiled gently and said, "Her mother passed away when she was young. You didn't care for her much when she was a child. Understandably, she harbors some resentment. I'll try my best to make it up to her. Chloe, I'm so lucky I'm able to marry a woman like you. Olivia isn't here today. Is she still mad at us? Jeff is still comatose in the hospital. Olivia's your only flesh and blood. I truly want to take good care of her. I know you're a kind man. She's just been spoiled by her father as a kid. She's also resentful that her marriage failed. You don't have to pay her any mind. She'll understand when she gets older." Chloe felt a little bitterness when she thought about her falling out with Olivia last night. Most of her encounters with Olivia ended with arguments since she returned from overseas. She thought Olivia was being too heartless considering she was trying her best to care for her. In Chloe's eyes, Olivia was like a rebellious child. She decided to have a heart-to-heart with Olivia after she was past this rebellious phase. "I'll go contact Marina. Keep an eye on things here." "Alright, but don't work yourself too hard." Chloe went under the shade of a cherry blossom tree and dialed Marina's number. She wasn't able to get through. Chloe wondered if Marina was already on the helicopter. She began to contact people who worked for Marina, and she received an unexpected reply. One of the staff told her that Marina had already boarded a helicopter 2 hours ago. The flight from Aldenvine to the island should only take around 30 minutes. If Marina boarded a helicopter 2 hours ago, where was she? Chapter 268. Marina was still whining when she got on the helicopter. "What a lousy designer. I spent so much money and I got a defective dress. It's all his fault I wasted so much time on such an important day." Marina had been feeling irritated since yesterday because of the dress. She didn't get a wink of sleep last night. She beiges to doze off as soon as she got on the helicopter. Little did she know, she was headed straight to hell on earth. Marina woke up to complete darkness. She was blindfolded, and her limbs were tied up. Where was the island? What about Ethan? What about the ceremony? Marina started to panic. Where is this place? Do you know who I am? I'm Mrs. Miller. How dare you kidnap me? My husband will have all of your heads. When she opened her mouth, she realized her voice resonated in the room. She also smelled something unpleasant. Somebody, help, save your breath. If yelling could help, kidnappers would be out of a job. Upon hearing the voice, Marina yelled angrily, Olivia Fordham, you bitch. I knew it had to be you. You're jealous because I'm getting married to Ethan, so you resorted to dirty tricks like this. Olivia smirked at her frustration. Are you delusional? You should become an author with that imagination of yours. Do you still not understand what happened? Honestly, I'm curious. What does Ethan like about you? Marina panicked and began yelling. The more she screamed, the more confused Olivia was. Olivia had been with Ethan for many years. She knew his personality well. Olivia knew that Marina wasn't Ethan's type at all, be it looks or personality. He could have picked someone better if he wanted a lover to agitate her. Someone started clapping, and the sound pulled Marina back to reality. Thanks for putting up a show for me, a distorted voice said. Marina was stunned. She could instantly tell that it was the mysterious person she talked with over the phone. It's you. Marina relaxed a little, thinking the person was on her side. She said with a dissatisfied tone, Are you insane? Is this part of the plan that you said that I had to endure some suffering for? It's my engagement ceremony today. The fact that Olivia was captured didn't bring Marina any joy. She could bully Olivia at any time, but she would be done for if she missed the ceremony. She had worked so hard to make this ceremony a reality. It had also been delayed many times. She had a bad feeling about this. Let me go now. I don't care about what you do to this bitch, but Ethan is waiting for me. I have to go now. Leave. Marina could hear the person chuckle. Since she couldn't see anything, the sinister chuckle sent a shiver down her spine. The person continued, Only one of you will be leaving here alive. Marina had pulled all sorts of tricks before, but she had never been put through something as serious as this. She asked fearfully, what happens to the other person? Olivia was dumbstruck by this question. She wondered if Marina had lost her mind. The outcome of the other person apparent. This person had already killed Belle. Naturally, they would be fine with doing the same to Marina or Olivia. Who knows? Maybe she'll be devoured by fishes or end up as a mutilated corpse. The person's voice was very soft. It was like the whisper of the devil. Chapter 269. Marina was stunned by what the person said. She understood what the person wanted to do. What's the meaning of this? Didn't you tell me that you wanted to work with me? Work with you? Someone like you isn't worth my time, the person said with a smirk. Fear began to consume Marina, and her expression paled. Her lips quivered as she said, Don't you know who I am? My husband is Ethan Miller. He won't let you off easily if you lay a hand on me. Marina felt a sudden pain on her torso. A foot was pressing down on her waist. She had never been humiliated like this except for the time Olivia attacked her. I'm warning you. You'd better be prepared to put your life on the line if you want to hurt me. Before Marina could finish her sentence, the foot pressed down harder on her waist. She winced in pain. You're the one who should know your place. Olivia is smarter than you. She didn't try to anger me. Marina finally understood that she was in the same predicament as Olivia. So, your target was never Olivia alone but the both of us. That's right. The person's gender couldn't be discerned from their voice. Marina could only come to two conclusions. The person hated Olivia and herself because they stood in the way of their love. It could also be that the person was Ethan's enemy, and they were captured so they could use them to threaten Ethan. No matter what the person was after, Marina knew her chances for survival were slim. She started to panic. She quickly dropped her arrogant act and began to beg for her life, Please let me go. I don't want to die. I still have 2 kids. I can't leave them alone. Her attitude changed as she added, Kill Olivia if you have to. She's Ethan's ex-wife and the love of his life. Marina's words struck a chord with Olivia. She never thought she would see the day when a prideful woman like Marina would admit Ethan loved her more. Olivia could hear the person grunt. She could hear the disdain in their tone. What a joke. A woman who's about to be engaged to Ethan is admitting that she's not his true love. It's true. I'm not lying. Even though we're engaged, he doesn't love me at all. Marina no longer cared about her pride or appearance. She just wanted to live. Why would he get engaged to you if he doesn't love you? Because I got pregnant with his children by accident. He has no choice but to do so. Marina almost blurted out the truth. She paused for a moment, then changed her statement. The person patted Marina on her face. You don't have to be so pessimistic. Ethan will be the one to decide if you live or die. Marina asked in surprise, what do you mean? Aren't you the one who loves making people choose between two options? That's what we'll be doing today. Honestly, I'm more curious. The person dragged their tone, then continued, if the same thing happens, will Ethan make the same choice he made back then? Both Olivia and Marina's faces paled. They understood what the person wanted to do. The person took their foot off Marina. Marina knew the person wasn't joking. She broke into tears and kept begging for her life. The person said softly, don't be afraid. I just want to play a game with you. A game of life and death. Chapter 270. Marina was panicking, but Olivia was relatively calmer. Olivia was sure the outcome would be the same if Ethan had to pick between them. She could feel herself back in the freezing waters of the ocean when she closed her eyes. She could picture Ethan swimming resolutely toward Marina. That incident haunted Olivia for an entire year. She had just gotten over it. She was about to start over. Why? Olivia muttered. Why what? The person asked. Olivia raised her chin slightly. Even though she was sprawled on the floor in a humiliating position, she maintained her defiance. Why do you have to play games with us? Do you get a kick out of it? The person chuckled. Of course, it's fun for me. I think seeing Ethan kill the woman he loves with his own hands will be very amusing. Olivia wanted to break through the ropes around her hands several times but held back. She knew it would be all over as soon as she broke free. If you have feelings for someone, you should compete fairly. What do you stand to gain from these schemes? Olivia was disgusted by the person. The person hid it well, but Olivia leaned more toward the possibility that they were a woman. If it was a man who had a grudge against Ethan, the person's methods would have been more violent and direct. A man wouldn't waste years setting up a plot. Nor would a man waste so much effort to capture her and Marina just to force Ethan to pick between them. She was sure all of it was the handiwork of a woman. Not only was this woman cruel, but she was also mentally ill. There was one thing that puzzled Olivia. This woman targeted the women close to Ethan, so why didn't she try to take her place when her relationship with him was at rock bottom these 2 years? Why was Marina the one who got together with Ethan instead? This woman knew Ethan so well. She would have an easier time getting closer to Ethan than Marina if she wanted to. But Marina was the only woman who managed to get close to Ethan in these 2 years. There were no other women. If this woman wasn't trying to get with Ethan, why would she plot against Ethan's women? Olivia had many questions she wanted answers to. She wanted to rip off her blindfold to see who the woman was. The woman appeared to have guessed what she was thinking. She said coldly, I'll be happier than you can imagine. Do you know why I haven't killed you yet? Dying is too easy. I want to see you struggle. I want you to experience all the hardships the world has to offer. For the longest time, Olivia could only guess what the woman's motive was. It was even more terrifying now that she heard it. Olivia knew she had never harmed anyone in her life. She didn't know why this woman would harbor so much hatred for her. Do we know each other? Why do you hate me so much? Olivia couldn't help but ask. This woman hated her so much that she thought death would be a gift for her. The woman hated her so much she wanted her to live in agony. Save your questions for after you're dead. I know you want me dead. At least let me know why. Tell me if I've ever caused you harm. I don't want to die with guilt and unanswered questions. Dumbass, I don't have time for chit-chat. The game is about to start. Meanwhile, at the venue of the engagement ceremony, all the media personnel were ready. No one expected Marina to be late. It was already time for the ceremony, yet she was nowhere to be seen. Chloe held the hem of her dress as she ran toward Ethan. She had lost her usual elegance. Ethan, something's wrong. Marina has gone missing. The screen that had been showing pictures of Marina was cut off abruptly. An unfamiliar voice came from the speakers. Hello, has the ceremony started yet? I'm not late, am I?